the center of Ramallah, which is kind of like the administrative capital of Palestinian authorities. And I'm gonna try and get on to Nablus. So let's try and find where this minibus is. So I'm now in Nablus, one of the largest Palestinian cities. Initial impressions are it's not the prettiest place in the world, but there's a famous dessert to try here. But the most important thing is I want to get up to Mount Gerizim, although I'll probably get something to eat first. That looks like the center, so let's go.
رجال ستاتي ضربات كالوسات بينهم
So the famous dessert of Nablus is kunafa, which is a kind of sweet pizza, and this place, Al-Aqsa, is the place to get it. So I'm going to try some, see what it's like. So I'm now in the shop. This is the kunafa. They describe it as a kind of pizza. I don't know what's in it. He kind of puts syrup all over it when it's finished. Let's see what it tastes like. So I'm now in the shop. This is the kunafa. They describe it as a kind of pizza. I don't know what's in it. He kind of puts syrup all over it when it's finished. Let's see what it tastes like. I don't really have a sweet tooth. That's quite pleasant. It's not overly sweet, actually. Bit like a pancake that you get on Pancake Day, but probably a bit nicer than that. Okay, let's eat the rest. So this is the guy that's serving it in from these huge metal trays, and in the time it's taken me to eat mine, he's got through a whole tray. This place is rammed. And there he's waiting for the next tray, which will come. So we have these here. They're the ones ready to be done, you see. And this is the dude that's making them. So and there's the next tray ready to be made. Get out of the modern bit of the city, and Nablus is quite pleasant. Look at all these old buildings. It's really nice. The mosque, by the way, that was next to the Al-Aqsa Kufay place, that was another 600s and something, 640s mosque. Then destroyed. There was a Crusader church there. Then it was back to a mosque. And again, so disappointingly on this trip, it was another modern rebuild. Ugh. The Al-Kabir Mosque, which is described as the most important religious building in Nablus. Now, it's very old. There's pre-Christian bits, there's bits of a Crusader church. I mean, this does look as if it could be the nave of a church. And this bit looks older because it's got different columns that could be Roman. I think there was a Roman temple here before. Really amazing. Taxi can only take me so far because this is not Palestinian Authority area. So there's this big gate crossing the road, and I'm now in the last Samaritan village in the world, and there's only about 700 of them. And that ahead is Mount Gerizim, the Samaritan holy mountain.
You're not a proper Palestinian.
Pardon? And unfortunately, my quest to visit the holy mountain, Gerizim, has come to an end here because it is Shabbat today. And that means that it's the day of rest and it's shut. So I am very, very nearly on the peak. I'm just got to go around there. But yeah, I can't get up there, unfortunately. So I'm gonna, but it's not been a wasted journey, and I'm really, really glad that I have come. So this here is the Samaritan village, and I've just walked through it. And as I was walking, a chap started talking to me, and I think he said his name was Bar, and he was a Samaritan, and he was walking his baby. They keep Shabbat, so he isn't using the car. And he was telling me about his life, his family. It was really interesting. So he's married actually to Ukrainian. And he said there's only about 800 Samaritans in the world. The number is slowly increasing. They used to live down in the city, but because of the Intifada, they moved up here to the village. And I mean, they do come across as quite Jewish, but there are differences. And one of the big differences is the dress. So all the men wear a kind of long skirt thing. A lot of them wear a hat that looks like a fez. The women seem to be far more westernized. A lot of them wear quite normal Western clothing, quite short skirts even, not even long skirts, and they don't cover their hair. So yeah, they have a very different dress code. Now, what I'm going to show you, so there's obviously the village that I talked about before. Across on this hill, I think, I'm going to get a better view of it here. I don't know if that's Palestinian or if that's an Israeli settlement on there. It looks like that could be a settlement. And as I was coming across, the settlements were very conspicuous on the hills, and you would see these settlements on hilltops with new houses in and around the Palestinian communities. Now, there's a number of deserted buildings here. I don't quite know why these are deserted, but they are, and then, of course, there's the town below. So I'm going to make my way back down to Nablus. I'm going to go, I'm guessing the museum's going to be shut because of Shabbat. But in a way, it's quite nice because I probably saw more of the people because it was Shabbat. So I very nearly, but not quite, got to the peak of the Holy Mountain, as it was. I suppose what I should do is say that why is this the Holy Mountain? Well, the basic story of the Samaritans is this, that when the Jews went off to exile, that the Bible talks about all the Jews being taken to exile, but that's probably not what happened. They probably only took the upper classes, the important ones, and so the poorer ones stayed here and continued their Judaism, and they evolved in the hundreds of years of exile different practices. And one of them is that they believed that the Holy Mountain was here on Mount Gerizim rather than Mount Zion, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So look, over there, that there is actually the peak of the mountain. That's how close I got. Zoom in. Oh, yes, there we are. Oh, well, never mind. And yeah, they evolved some different practices, and actually what they practice today is in some ways more like ancient Judaism, in that they do still sacrifice animals, because of course they have the Temple Mount, although their temple itself was demolished by the Romans, on which to sacrifice, which of course the Jews don't have because the Dome of the Rock's there. So very interesting, and they believe themselves to be, carrying the true form of Judaism. Of course, when all the exiles came back, and I think the exile experience radically changed Judaism. I mean, it brought about the kind of synagogue culture. Then they saw these lot as being heretical. And vice versa, and over the years, that's why there was this antagonism, which is why in the Bible, the Good Samaritan is a surprise because the Samaritans were the bad guys in the Bible. And of course, they were seen as unclean because they followed slightly different practices. They were the Jews who'd gone astray. There is a lot of intermarriage these days, I think, between Jews and Samaritans because they need them to bring new blood into the community, because I believe there's quite a high incidence of disabilities and stuff because they've been intermarrying with each other for so long. And indeed, I did see 2 or 3 people with disabilities walking around with frames and limps and stuff, which could be part of that. I don't know. So anyway, this is Samaria, all that's left of it. So this is the Samaritan synagogue. It looks pretty much like any other synagogue, and I'm not going to try and go inside because it's Shabbat, but what is interesting is that the writing, the Hebrew that they use, has slightly different letters. So I'm at the other kind of end of Mount Gerizim because I'm walking back to Nablus. There is the city of Nablus below me. The original city was higher up on the mountain, and it was clustered around the Samaritan temple, and it was destroyed by the Romans, who then built their own new city, Neapolis, Nablus, down below, and that's what we have today, Nablus.
هاي كرسي هنا هاي كرسي لحالها خليتها إلك عشان